Welcome to Trail Manners, the podcast so dedicated to mountain trails and running that they broadcast out of a 78 Volkswagen bus in the mountains. Who does that? Eric and Joel are your hosts and will bring you the trail life as you may have not heard it before. You hear about everything from gear reviews, nutrition to keep you upright and moving forward, and they'll even bring guests into the bus for conversations that you won't hear anywhere else. It's time for some running adventures on a higher elevation. The old 78 Volkswagen bus is fired up and headed to the mountains. Here are your hosts for Trail Manners, proudly representing the 801 with their passion and love for the trails. Eric Manning and Joel Hatch.
Welcome to the Trail Manners Podcast, episode number 74. Today we are going to be talking with Kenzie Barlow. So if this is your first time listening, then thanks for coming. The Trail Manners Podcast is produced every week for your enjoyment, and show notes are found at trailmanners.com. Come back often, and please feel free to add the podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Trail Manners. All links are in the show notes. Now let's get after it. All right, welcome back to episode number 74 of the Trail Manners Podcast. We're trying something new today.
We are.
We're on some sweet leather couches, though.
It's comfy.
It is fireplace.
It's not Park City Run Company.
It's not, so it's a little sad.
Yeah.
But
I'm liking this idea.
some pre-podcast sushi.
That was pretty good.
That wasn't bad. We were at Harmon's.
Harmon's
Grocery Store in Farmington.
It works.
It's a sweet spot.
It's
It is.
pretty upscale.
It's really
pretty
it's
upscale.
An
upscale.
upscale grocery
That's
store.
right.
And
So who do we have here today?
Well, you just heard her voice.
Yes.
We are talking to Kenzie Barlow. Kenzie, thank you for having sushi with us and now
My
jumping into a
pleasure.
podcast.
Hi, guys.
So we've had a few people on, but Kenzie is the other half, the better half, the other half of Back Half Barlow.
Yes.
He was episode number 53. That was Tommy. We talked to him about the Grand Slam. So now we're bringing in Kenzie. So we're gonna jump right into it a little bit. So how did you get into trail running? Where did your love for the trails, where did this morph into what you do now?
Well, I started out on road.
Okay.
Well, I'll back up. So a lot of people assume when they look at, what I'm running currently and what Tommy and I have done that I've run forever or a long time or in college and I really hardly ran at all up until after I had my third child, my last.
Okay.
And so that's when I really got more into running. And honestly, I just started because I needed a hobby. And Tommy golfed a lot. And, I was home with the kids all the time. And I just wanted to get out of the house. I was kind of stir crazy. And so I had a friend that had asked me to run the Wasatch Back, the Ragnar.
Right.
And of course, that was super scary. I mean, I had done almost nothing up to that point, and I had, still had a little 3-month-old baby, and so I decided, why not? I'll sign up, and so that was just kind of where I started. I literally started running on the treadmill, and when I say running, it was like breathing heavy on the treadmill. It was more walking. And I remember having this goal to just stay on the treadmill for 30 minutes at a time. And I remember the first time I ran the whole thing. I mean, I was probably 11-minute miles or something, but it was great. I mean, it felt really accomplished just to be on there and actually technically run every step of that. So from there, it was, signed up. I ran the Ragnar, and I think we did, me and the friend that had invited me to run with her, we both kind of got into it at the same time. And we both have this similar personalities that we are always having to push the next biggest thing,
Right.
And so we started with a half marathon after that, and then signed up for a marathon. And as far as the trail running goes, that I kind of just stumbled upon that almost on accident. I mean, when you look back in hindsight, everything happens for a reason, and I really am a big believer in that. But so with this mindset of always looking for the next big push, we had decided had this crazy idea to sign up for a 50-mile race. So we had done, I think, maybe 3 marathons at that point. And we just thought it would just be almost like a funny joke to sign up for a 50 mile.
So what race was that?
Those usually are funny jokes.
So it was the Striders Ogden Valley 50 miler.
Oh my gosh!
Do
So
you
this is a
remember
road
that?
run. Yes.
Oh yeah,
yes.
all on road. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't even have a concept of like
Of trail. Right.
at that point. So,
Yeah, I remember that. You guys went up
Over Trappers.
Like, did you do Trappers or Old Snow Basin Road? I can't remember which one it was.
The first year that I did it, it was over Old Snow Basin. They kind of swapped years just depending on the conditions of Old Snow Basin Road.
Right.
You know? So I've done it 2 times, and it was a different course each time. But you would go up to Snow Basin and then down Old Snow Basin Road
my
and around
gosh,
the lake.
yeah.
And so, not knowing even any concept of like how many feet of elevation gain you're getting
Right.
at that point, it was just miles. And so we signed up for this. Really didn't train well for it. It was more again like really like just a joke. Like
Right.
we both mostly went to the gym, and at this point I happened to be in a boot for a stress fracture that would never heal.
Right.
Shocker, because I wouldn't stop running off. So I literally didn't run for the 3 weeks leading up to the race.
That's a good taper.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it perfect? That's what I call it.
Going
a
in
taper,
fresh.
right?
Going in
Exactly.
fresh.
So.
Gosh.
So I took the boot off the morning of the race, and we kind of were like, well, here we go.
Here comes the joke.
Yeah,
Right?
this is going to be a really funny day. So anyway, we finished it. It was obviously extremely hard to do that, but we finished holding hands. Like, you know, it was really a cool experience, and I felt like my every bone in the bottom of my feet was broken for 3 weeks.
Right.
Deservedly so. And I got done, and it hurt super bad, and I'm like, sign me up again.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
so
exactly,
cool.
right?
So I did that twice. I think a year in between I didn't run that one, but at any rate, so I realized that I just liked the longer distance stuff. I mean, marathons are great; they were cool, and but I wanted to do something more. So at that point, Tommy, otherwise known as Batcalf Barlow,
Right.
So he had been doing some Ironman distance triathlons at this point. So I was doing some of this road stuff, and he was doing his own thing with triathlon, and he kept bugging me that I needed to do an Ironman. And
Right.
to be honest, I had like almost at this point no desire to do that at all. But after 2 50-mile races, it was kind of that like, okay, what's the next big goal to train for, to look forward to? And so I decided I was going to sign up for an Ironman. I talked myself into it. So I found one that worked for our family schedule because Tommy was already doing one early in the season. And so I found one that worked with like all the, around all of our family travels and stuff. And by the time I had saved up the money to pay for the registration, because they're expensive.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
They're pricey. So by the time I had the money, it had sold out, and I was super bummed. So anyway, I there was nothing else that worked. So somehow I came across the Wasatch 100. And I don't know if it was like I truly don't remember how I came across it. But at that point I had no.
So what year was that?
2013
Okay.
was the year that, that was kind of coming about. So this would be for Wasatch 100 2014.
Okay.
So I was like, well, that sounds hard. I mean, Ironman sounds hard. That sounds hard, equally as hard. I might as well have something. So I put in for the lottery, not really thinking I would actually get in, and not even looking at the course or fully really understanding what that was about. But like a week after the lottery happened, I was like, oh, I think that lottery happened. I guess I better check the website. So I did, and I was like, oh my gosh, I
that's
got
my
in.
name.
Oh, I don't know what to do now. Oh, crap.
And you
So-
saved a grundle of money by doing
Yeah, you
Wasatch
did. You saved
instead of
a
an
bunch of
Ironman.
money.
Yeah. So I then signed up for a couple of races. I panicked that night. Like, I seriously am way over my head. So I signed up for a couple of races leading up to it just to
Like
ease-
trail races or more road races?
trail races. So I did I signed up for the Buffalo Run 50 miler or 50K.
Okay.
And then Squaw Peak 50 miler.
Oh, okay.
That's good.
And then Speed Goat.
Yep.
And then Wasatch. So that was my first year.
That was a good prep.
That's a good year.
Yeah.
It's a good first
yeah,
year.
so I would, just dive right in. So after that, I was hooked. So I like to say it was an accident because I really was supposed to be doing an Ironman that year, and it just happened to be sold out. So had that not sold out, who knows where I'd be.
So the Antelope, Buffalo Run was your first trail race, right?
Yes. Yeah. So not technically my first ultra distance, but it was my first trail race.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And so what was your thoughts on that when you got done?
I think I remember the title of my race recap being, shiz, this is harder than I thought.
So how did you spell shiz? About 2 Z's?
2 Z's. You gotta have 2 Z's.
I actually think I said, oh, crap.
Yeah.
Oh, crap, this is harder than I thought. But it was about as hard as I thought. Up to that point, it was the hardest thing I'd ever done.
That's
Right.
awesome.
So.
But what did you think about the atmosphere of the trail scene versus the road scene? Did you notice that difference?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I just, I kind of like they're definitely more laid back, It's a lot of time on the trails. I think there's a lot, well, I hate to say this because I could be stirring the pot, but there's definitely a lot of camaraderie that happens out in the trail scene, tends to. Everybody's, it's competition, but I feel like everybody's kind of running their own race at that point, And I think just with road racing, because of the intensity at which you're racing, it's not like you're going to pull up next to one and have a chit chat, you know, when you're trying to PR a marathon or something. So, I just really liked it. But I think what I loved the most about it was just being out in scenery. I think that's what really hooked me, is just always being out and appreciating all of the cool things that surrounded you. And Antelope Island is really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
For a lot of people that haven't been out there, I mean, it's almost like you're in a whole different state when you go out there.
Especially on that backside.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful. So
that's neat.
Yeah, I
were you guys
that.
living in Farmington at that time?
Man, we have moved so many times. That is so sad. No, we weren't. Not in the house we're currently in.
Right.
We were in Davis County. We always have been. But
so when did you realize, oh, I live close to some trails I can run on?
The Wasatch 100 course trail, or just trails?
Just trails in general.
Definitely not until after I signed up for not until after I got into Wasatch.
Right.
So
and then you started training on the trail?
I didn't even have a clue where the trails were in Davis County. That also kind of I just kind of happened into a good group of people that took me under their wing. And
that's where I was going with that. How'd you come upon those people then?
So a friend of mine from the gym I was going to at the time had heard that I had got into Wasatch, and he had suggested that I get in with this group that he's in. And so he got me on the email list, and I knew nobody in this group other than this one guy that had suggested it. And even he'd only ran every once in a while with these guys. I think I've seen him 5 times over the last couple of years now. But even though he was the one that got me in, so he got me in on this email list of this trail running group in Davis County, and it took me a couple weeks to get up the courage to show up, because I knew it was mostly men.
Right.
And I also had such little experience on trails. I think before I actually showed up with those guys, I had completed the Buffalo run.
Right.
And so I would go up and run along the Firebreak roads, or my real long run I ran up Farmington Canyon up until I hit snow.
Right.
And I turned around and ran down, and then I turned around along Bonneville Shoreline Trail. It was like a 26-mile run on the Shoreline Trail. Yeah, which for that race it's actually pretty decent. It may not get you through some of those more mountainous ones, but it was a great way to test the water. So.
Now, when you got in with that group, after your first or how many runs, did they start to take you in and did you ask questions? How did you get to figure out the nuances, the nutritions, the elevation, the hiking, all that?
Well, so a couple things. So this particular group that I run with, and they call themselves the Snow Snorkelers, and
no, wait, the Snow Snorkelers.
Snow Snorkelers.
Okay,
right?
I just haven't
just
heard
rolls
that.
Off the tongue.
Yeah, I just haven't heard that.
Had you never heard of that?
You've never seen that hashtag before?
I haven't. Do they have a logo?
Yeah. So the story with this, they were named that before I started running with them, but the story with that was something along the lines of they had gone up Adams Canyon one time, and it was really deep snow, to the point that they were face planting in the snow, and so somehow Snow Snorkelers came across.
I like that. I'd like a cool. I think they need to come a cool logo. That just sticks in my head for some. I haven't heard of the Snow Snorkelers. I apologize.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I apologize.
Yeah, we even upgraded to actually having starting a Facebook page last year, so they're really getting with the times.
Are you kidding me?
Up until last year, it was just an email list that this friend would send out.
Do they have T-shirts?
Yes, actually.
Oh my gosh!
I know.
Where have I been?
They did do T-shirts last year, I think.
Oh man!
Yeah, so
all right, I'm totally checking this out.
I know.
I'm digging it right now.
You're gonna start searching.
I want a Snow Snorkeler trucker hat's what I want.
But that's what I said. I said I'll pass on the T-shirt, but you get a trucker hat, and I will wear that probably every day.
Yep.
So, yeah, they took me under their wing. There's couple girls that would come every now and then, but really there were not almost any girls that would come. And so I feel like they just, took me under their wing. And I obviously like to talk a lot and chit chat. And I think it was just nice to go out and have people to run with and pass the time and do pretty hard runs. But like all of a sudden, an hour and a half later, you've, covered a lot of ground and really enjoyed yourself and the company. And so, yeah, that was kind of how I started getting to know the trails in Davis County, is I would just show up wherever they said they were going. And and I had no idea that there were that many amazing trails just in our little backyard of Davis County.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just all up and down the front. That's how it is.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Just takes, I guess, putting yourself out there a little bit and taking a chance and showing up with the group that might be kind of intimidating to start with. And then you realize that, if you can hold your own, and sometimes you can't, sometimes you can. But, it's just, I think sometimes it's just that initial, like, having the guts to just show up one time and see whether it works for you or not.
Which it doesn't seem like you got a problem doing that. Oh, I'm going to do a marathon. I'm going to do a 50-mile road race.
After I get this boot off
I don't know.
before the gun.
It's like a mix between like wanting to do hard things and stupidity. I can't decide which one is.
You got to have that
Right.
though in the ultra. I mean, that's kind of
You
it.
kind of
Yeah,
do.
I
right?
agree.
But I'm kind of just, me and Joel talk about this a lot on the podcast. Like you just mentioned, it's that taking that first step to run on the trails, because not everybody
Right.
just automatically is out on the trails. They either have a background, whether it's collegiately, high school, road running. But we always tell people that run on the trails are super accepting.
Yeah.
Right? For new people. They love new people to show
and
up.
maybe I'm a little biased, but I still hang out in the triathlon world a little bit. I'm currently training for a triathlon, and it's an awesome group. But there's something about trail I just feel like just has more of a family feel. Like everybody really genuinely wants the other to succeed. And even if you're like running in the same races, I don't feel like there's ever that element of, am I going to beat this person? Am I faster than them? Am I slower than them? It's just everybody is out there, to enjoy the trails the same as you are.
And we have a lot of listeners that are like either new to trails or trying to make that leap, because we get questions asked. And I can't stress enough what she just said. It's just the people are so accepting. Because I look back before I started trail running, and you have to. It's almost like there's that one or two people that help break the ice for you. But then you become that person. Because I remember when I was running trails and people come and asking me questions, and I'm not a good trail runner, but they were like, so how do I do this? And you just pass that on, and then you see them do a 100-mile race, and you're like, oh, that's super cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool. So I think what you said is just spot on with the trail community. I'd like to say a huge percentage of that.
Yeah. And I think it always takes that, like, it's a little bit it's going to be intimidating in any new thing that you start out with. But, and you may find that it's not even for you, but at least you would know, that you show up. And so I have people a lot just through social media that will message me quite often and say, oh, you have this group in Davis County, how did you get in with them? And so I'm always like, please come. And I'm spreading the gospel of the Snow Snorkelers. Like, you should come and enjoy. I mean, I would love to have more girls to come out and run with me. And the response is almost always the same, which is, well, I'm afraid I'm not fast enough, or, and
I can't keep up.
The answer is, I'm like, when I first started with them, I was a pretty solid mid-packer with this particular group of people. And over the years, everybody's getting faster and faster. And honestly, it's gotten to where this group in particular is pretty fast. I mean, it's a big enough group, and people show up, not the same people show up every time, but it depends on the day. But for the most part now, with this group that I run with, I'm almost always in the back. I might have some good runs, but it's a lot of fast guys. And so I'm almost always in the back. And at this point, I don't care.
So who are some of these guys? We got to know some of these people.
Can you call out some Snow Snorkelers? Name drop some Snow Snorkelers.
Well, so Steve Newman, I call him
I know
the
Steve
Godfather.
Newman.
Okay.
So
I know that name.
I know Steve.
So I actually call him Coach. I joke because
All right.
I'm a running coach, but
Right.
he's I call him
I like Steve.
my running. So he is
Give us one more.
Tommy. Tommy
No,
runs
that
with him
doesn't
a lot.
count.
Okay.
He doesn't count.
I just count.
Benj Becker is
No,
another one.
I don't know him.
Okay, I'll tell
heard
you what
that
I
name.
really do love about this group is that for the most part they are all so socially antisocial. Very, very, and they
Are they
go out and
awkward?
run. No, not
Okay.
at all awkward. Just
Dang it.
antisocial in the sense that, like a lot of this the trail community in the Wasatch is pretty tight knit and pretty small, and everybody kind of knows everybody, and you see a lot of the same social media posts, and we've got the big group with the Wranglers, and it's a pretty active group on social media, and most of these guys you almost never see them on there. They just run because that's just what they love to do. I mean,
it's
they're
kind of
not
like Bryce Warren.
Oh, perfect example.
Yes,
yeah.
I know. Yeah, I know Bryce. Yeah, it's
it's like that.
They just
like the
are
ninja.
happy to show up, but they share the same common loves and interests as I do in the trails, and so just a good quality group of people to spend time with. But their motives are pure, and none of it has anything to do with what other people think.
Right.
So
That's awesome.
That's cool.
yeah.
I like
That's
it.
really cool. I'm just digging it. I didn't know Steve Newman was a snow snorkeler.
What? He is the snow
He's
snorkeler.
the head.
He's the one that
He's
started
Aquaman.
the email
He's
group.
Aquaman.
He's Aquaman. That's who he is. Is what?
No, wait a minute. Is he the new Aquaman? Or is he the old Aquaman?
I feel like I need to know the story.
Are we talking like
The old one, man.
You're talking
the
about the old
original,
one.
the OG Aquaman.
right? Like the new one, like the new Superman one?
No. What old school
Okay.
Aquaman? Old school.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
like
All right.
yeah, way old school. Back
Okay.
Legion, Justice League.
Justice
and
League,
the
old
guy-
one.
He'd never participate until they needed it, right?
Yeah,
He
right.
was never hanging out.
Well, they had to be close to water.
Yeah, he's like, man, I can't breathe. Someone throw me some Dasani.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so let's recap. Got in the running.
On accident for
On
the
accident.
trails.
Yeah.
Totally
yeah.
an accident.
You did half marathon, road 50 miler. Put your name out there for this race, this obscure race.
No one's
got
ever heard
in
of.
and kind of freaked out. Picked up a group of guys to start running with, and then you do your first 50-mile trail run, Squaw Peak.
Yes.
How was
Oh.
that compared to doing the 50-mile road run?
Ooh. I tell people that in terms of sheer pain, and this doesn't have anything to do with the course of Squaw Peak, but because I was so ill prepared for the first 50 miler, and because it was all road, which is, that's just unique. I didn't realize when I ran that how unique a 50-mile road race is.
Right.
And it's not
Just
even there anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But my feet just were they were so broken. But Squaw Peak tore me up. It was the first real soul sucker, I think, for me.
Nice.
But I don't know why. I just really thrive on that.
Yeah.
Something about like almost getting the point that you are broken, but you don't. You still like persevere, and then.
So did you get to that point in the Ogden Valley 50 miler?
No, and I don't really know if I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that on that course in particular, you could have your crew follow you, kind of like Pony Express. You could have a
Right.
car follow you for most of the race, and so you always had people around
Right.
to like talk you through things. And Tommy met up with me and ran the last like up and over trappers.
Right.
And there were so many points on Squaw Peak where you're just totally alone, and
By
so you're
yourself.
left to your own head,
Right.
and so it's completely up to you to push through that on your own. So, but I got it done, and it was, and I felt like it was decent. I ran it with a friend that was also her first real mountain 50 miler, and I think that was the first time that I fully appreciated the difficulty of real mountain terrain, real
Right.
hard climbing and descents. I think it was actually the descents that killed me more than the climbing.
Yeah,
at that
coming off
point.
Windy Pass is hard.
Oh yeah, because that's
yeah.
like mile 40. What is that? 40.
It's got to be 40 because it's about like a 7-mile downhill,
Yeah,
right?
It is
it's-
about. I think it's about my. Yeah, I think I had a few out of body experiences on
yeah.
that climb.
Now, so let me go backwards. Was your first trail run Buffalo Run on the trails?
First trail race, yeah.
Trail race.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
and your
But
first,
she was doing trail runs,
but not racing.
Yeah, up
Okay.
on the bench.
Okay, so
Yeah.
your first 50 or your first trail race was Buffalo.
Yes.
Your
Yeah.
first 50-mile trail race was Squaw.
Right.
Yes.
Your first 100-mile trail race was Wasatch.
Yes.
We have all three of those in common. Look at that.
That is. That
My
is
first
serendipitous
first
right
ever
there.
trail race was Buffalo.
Right.
First
Really?
50 was Squaw Peak. My first 100 was Wasatch.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Wow.
I like that. I love talking to guests.
Yeah.
We always have stuff in common.
Look
True.
at that.
Yeah, our last guest loves cheese curds. Come on.
Who would have known?
I'm
Oh,
a cheese
I
curd
know.
connoisseur.
That was
you
good.
just pulled out some real gems in this show, don't
Yeah,
you?
that's all we do. That's
the
all
most
we
important
do.
things
Yeah,
too.
I mean,
Cheese
people,
It's
curds.
all about.
yeah, we don't
it's all
ask.
about that.
We don't ask silly stuff.
No.
Yeah, we ask like people want to know, right? Okay, so you've done your fair share of races now. Your
Right.
fair share of trail races. You know, we do some internet stalking from time to time. We've been known for that.
Right.
We're actually going to start
That's not
a
creepy.
degree at Western Governors University on the proper way to stalk
I do not
people.
put it past you at all.
That would be hilarious.
That'd be awesome, right?
Yeah.
I'd love Professor Stalker.
Professor
I
Stalking.
like that. So you've done the Bear 100 a few times, right?
I've done that twice.
Now,
yes.
and the reason I bring it up is because you did the Bear last year, right?
Oh yes, I did.
So that was the gnarly. Just
What did we
the-
call that?
The Bear Apocalypse,
No,
the
the
gnarly
Nasty
bear,
Bear.
the
We
call
nasty
this
bear.
Nasty
Come on,
Bear.
hashtag nasty.
Yeah,
Bear.
Yeah, we call
so
it Nasty
so
Bear.
you did that one last
Did you do
year.
it the year before too?
I did do it the year before.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
So she did 15 and 16,
Right.
and she's registered this year again, right?
Right.
For the Bear.
Yes. Yeah. I actually, I registered for that and also got into Wasatch. So I'm currently registered for
That girl.
both.
Give me some.
Joel's
Are you
slapping
serious?
high fives.
Are you really?
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm gonna do the double too.
What?
This is the year to do
Crazy.
it. Come on, there's 3 weeks apart.
Right. Yeah. I've thought it out. Now I'm not 100%
Yes, you are.
sold.
Yes, you are.
Why not?
Oh,
You're in
don't
both.
say
that.
You can't back out now.
can't back
I just
out.
well, it was. I didn't plan it this way.
Doesn't matter.
See,
This is-
everything's an accident.
this
I
is
just
on the
blame it all
internet.
on
This is on the
accidents.
internet.
Bad choices are always on accident. No, I'm seriously considering it, but I'm factoring in that Tommy races with me too, and it's always a balance. It's
Tommy
like-
had his year.
He had his year
He
last
had his
year.
year.
You know what? If you're listening, Tommy,
He is listening.
these guys are agreeing with me.
Yeah.
You had
your
this
year.
is my year.
Back
Tommy
off,
had a
buddy.
year.
Right.
Tommy had a
Thank you.
year.
So he's registered for the Bear.
Was.
He's supposed to be pacing.
Was registered
I
for the
love
Bear.
you guys. See that
Was.
this.
He
if
gets
anything, this
money
has been
back
really
right now,
productive
full
for
refund
the
And he
right
can
now.
open up a spot on the wait list, so he
Exactly.
rode
Because
others.
it's
Yeah.
50 deep right now.
So
Yep.
if it weren't for that, and I'm not saying that to make him feel bad because I really love that he races too. But anyway, it's hard for us both to race the same races.
well, yeah.
Like just set our kids in front of the TV and throw some cereal on the floor
Yeah,
and shut the door and be like, we'll see you in
exactly.
a couple
Just make sure-
days.
See you in 2
Just
days.
Chain the door.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's or use the underneath
Just
the
throw some
sink's a
ketchup
good
and
spot.
mustard out there. That'll be
Oh,
fine.
yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
No, so
Tub of mayo.
but either way, I mean, we always pace each other anyway. So the kids thing is always a factor. But as lame as it sounds, I really enjoy having him with me we just like to be at the finish of each other's races, and
Right.
so that's one thing I have to consider, knowing that I would be doing that as my second 100 in 3 weeks, and it would be difficult.
Right.
And I really want him to be there to experience that last.
Okay, so what he needs to do is run most of the race with you.
Well, I said okay.
Right?
I know, but and I'm not going to say for sure because maybe it's bad karma. But he has some pretty aggressive goals this year. Well, he has a very specific goal for that race for himself.
For the Bear?
Yes,
It'll be
and
there
it's
next year.
Most certainly not aligning with my goal for that race,
Right.
and
Yeah.
so. So we haven't really dealt with that yet. I think
What's
we're
his ultra sign up password?
Yeah.
We'll
fix
take
it
care
real
of
quick.
it for you.
yeah.
So
got
yeah,
some
so
skills.
yes, I'm registered for both. Haven't
Right on.
decided yet. Wasatch is for sure.
For sure, for
That's
sure.
So is
100%.
was that your goal race? Is the Wasatch your goal race for this year?
Yes.
Okay, hesitation. What else you got going then?
Not a lot. Last year was unique. We had with Tommy's doing the Grand Slam, and being 100% transparent, I was pretty burned out by the end of that season, and totally enjoyed it. It was, and I still claim that was like the most amazing experience we've ever done. And if anybody has that opportunity, I would recommend it to them, hands down. But when you're in the middle of it and trying to balance that with family and jobs and
Right.
real life and
Podcasts.
pets, sadly, that's a thing. Like it was a really hard year to balance all that. And I think Tommy and I, we specifically we thrive more on being like overwhelmed and constantly busy than we do on doing nothing. And anyway, I was just really burned out. And so when it came to time for me to run my own race at the end of that season, after he had done all of his races, I really felt pretty apathetic to my race. I lost my fire. I mean, I'm
Right.
normally pretty competitive, and I really, love the race day atmosphere and stuff. And I had a hard time talking myself. I knew I would do it, but I don't know. I just was having a hard time getting jazzed about the whole idea of running this 100-miler. So after that, I had a hard thought, of like, what do we want to do this year? And all last summer, I kept saying, next year we're not doing anything. We're not signing up for anything. We're just doing.
How long did that last?
I know, like 2 days, maybe 2 days.
The next time we sat behind a computer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it really didn't lie. And deep down, I knew. I just, we can't stay away from it. We're totally addicts.
Then he put in for UTMB, didn't he?
He did, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so
right.
we kind of, and that was what made this year tricky is the UTMB lottery was pretty late in the season compared to a lot of the other lotteries, and so it was really hard to make decisions on what races were available to sign up for after we found out whether he was into UTMB or not, because how close it was to Wasatch and some other stuff, I just didn't know whether I'd be able to even put in for those lotteries. And I was okay with it because that would be a really cool experience to go. I would be thrilled to go down and support him in that and not race at all this year if that's what it came down to. But he didn't get into that, and so there was still enough time for me to squeak into the Wasatch lottery, and which is why I signed up for Bear as a backup, because I knew that I had to know. I was afraid Bear would sell out, and anyway, so here I am with two registrations, and I really kind of would like to run both of them, but who knows? So so we didn't know that we would do much this year. In fact, at the start of the year, I thought we would do nothing other than just travel with the kids and camp and do a lot more like destination running. Go down and do some fun long stuff in some really pretty places that weren't actual races. So.
But you're also, does it sound like you're doing a triathlon this year too?
Yeah, there's
okay.
that.
Where's that coming out?
Kind of like out of nowhere. Right?
Yeah.
So Tommy has done, he's done several Ironmans before I got him into the trail stuff. I just want everybody to know, for the record, I did all this stuff first. He followed in my footsteps.
So he really is the back half Barlow.
He is.
Yeah, and more than
But
than
what he
one
does
way.
is he'll come in after me and then just absolutely cream me out after I've trained my butt off all year, and then he'll just kind of slide in and be like, "Oh, this sounds fun."
Well, because now he knows the proper way to do it.
That's right.
You do all the legwork, literally, and you do all the figuring it out. And he's like, "Oh,
See?
that's what you do? I'll do that."
Yeah. Last year, I like, this kind of comes in with the coaching thing that sounds like we'll talk about later, but I always like to do some fast stuff early season just to get a nice speed base. And I tried a couple years ago. I decided I'd go back and try and do a marathon, and this was still kind of in the middle after I'd been doing a lot of trail racing. And by the end of the trail season, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but I kind of feel like I just lost a lot of my leg turnover ability. Like I get really good at my climbing and my descending and technical, all of that stuff, but I almost kind of crave just running fast. Maybe people don't.
No.
People don't. But you know
I
what
felt
I
that
mean.
way last year.
You just focus so much on your mountain stuff,
right?
And if I was really good and smart, I would still be doing some, faster tempo runs and stuff, because it would still benefit me on the trail. But I never would do it. I would never have the time with all of the stuff, and I was always putting that off so that I could go do the really pretty mountain stuff with my groups of trail friends. And anyway, so I decided I would do a marathon early season and then transition into trail one year. I thought I'd be really smart and do that, but I kind of imploded and backfired on me because I've got some genetic back problems that I don't do well with a lot of road racing. I do a lot better on trail, but not great with road. And so I just was broken after this marathon and ended up having not a great race and not a great early season. And so I just, anyway, I decided the next year I would try something different, which was a triathlon, because I could run, try and actually run fast. But not as much pounding. So that was kind of how the triathlon thing came about. So I did last year with Tommy. We both signed up for the Oceanside half Ironman. Oh. And I totally loved it. Who would have known? I would like that. I enjoyed the training. It got me through the winter where you're, like Utah inversion and stuff is just super crappy.
Nasty.
Right.
Running out on the trails is more like slogging along through, like post-holing snow. And so it gave me a goal to focus on early season and decided to do that this year. And
you're doing the same one?
Same one.
So when is that?
April 1st.
Oh, right around the corner.
Yeah. Yeah, it's coming up.
So is that your first thing this year then? Is just you're focused on that, and then after that you're going to jump into some other stuff?
Yeah, and I don't know that I'll sign up for any other official races. I might do Trishers. I did that last year. I really enjoyed that. I just love that course, the scenery. I mean, it's a brutal, brutal course, but scenery's hard to beat, and the atmosphere is super fun, and it's a great place to take kids for camping anyway. So it's kind of a win-win there. But
that's cool.
Yeah, we haven't decided yet. We're just kind of putting it off.
Well, you better, because it sounds like it's just a race to who gets the computer first sometimes,
Yeah,
too.
I kind of feel like that. Well,
Right.
so literally the day that Tommy found out that he didn't get into UTMB, he texted me and said that he was signing up for this Beacon Rock 50K that's in June.
Well, that's right. He found out because of
James Varner.
James Varner.
That's like
Yes,
James Varner's
yes.
favorite race
He
of his
came
thing.
home like a couple days before the UTMB lottery and was telling me about that podcast, whatever he was listening to, and saying it just
That was
sounded
us.
like it was so he was talking about all these cool races that
Right.
that they put on, and anyway, and had never heard of Beacon Rock, but I guess it sounded like it was one of his favorites.
Yeah, we
race
asked Varner,
directors.
so which one would you do?
And he's the race director of
Yeah.
all the races.
Yes.
And Varner was like, well, it'd be Beacon Rock.
Yeah.
Because I guess it's a cool place for families to go camp at,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what sold Tommy on the idea.
Right.
And so he signed up for that like the day that he didn't get into
That's
UTMB. So he's got that, and I'm happy to just go and run while we're down there. I can stay with the kids and we'll just swap. But
too. Right.
Well, maybe James Varner can watch your kids and you can race, too.
hey,
There you go.
let's
Get a
just put that out
box
there.
of Lucky Charms,
James.
head of cabbage, just
That
in
could be a
case.
new service. That could be a new like ultra service.
That would be
like
a great
at a
service.
race.
Oh,
where
yeah.
You provide babysitting services for
Portable
you know,
preschool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, teach him something while you're out there.
That would
Exactly.
be. Yeah,
Hey, I have a feeling that would be a really
that would be huge.
not successful business.
Oh, I think it'd be big.
You're looking at it the wrong way. I think
Yeah.
it would be totally fun for
Yeah.
somebody else to do that.
Yeah, somebody else.
Yeah, for somebody else
Somebody
to
else to
babysit
do
our
it.
kids
Yeah,
while we
exactly.
go run.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe
Only
just-
for like 50K at the most, right?
Maybe
Yeah.
have them all at one aid station.
Yeah.
No.
That'd be
You
awesome.
know, I think
That'd be
what you
chaos.
could do. So my friend Chelsea and I have always joked that we wanted to start a band just to play at finish lines of races.
Oh yeah.
And so we were like, that'll for sure be successful. But maybe if you comboed, like you booked gigs at the finish line
Mm-hmm.
and you played in the band, but while they were racing, you babysat the kids.
Right.
It's just a way to supplement the income. See?
True.
That's a
Yeah.
great way to do it because people are going to pay that fee. I would.
Yeah.
I don't even have kids that age that could need to be watched, but I would pay for someone else's kids to be watched. So do you guys have, because I like to go back to this, do you guys have a band name yet?
Do we have a what?
A band name?
A band name.
Yeah. What's your
Oh.
band's name? You and Chelsea's.
Ooh,
You don't have one?
no.
See, I've got a band name I've had for years. I just don't have a band.
You just don't have the band for
Yeah.
it.
What
Well,
is
you
it?
can join our band.
My band name is No Mas Pantalones.
No Mas
Oh.
Pantalones.
How
Now
cool
that's
would that
pretty
be?
great.
Could
Yeah.
you imagine a crowd just screaming that during
Yeah,
your show?
the crowded the finish line of a trail race,
Yeah.
like all
No more
50
pants.
people that
See,
are
I don't
there.
like
No more
pants.
That's true.
And
I'm
so one
surprised you
day,
got him on
I
right
know,
now.
right? And
I
so
don't know
thought,
that they want you watching their kids while they're racing with the band name of No More Pants, but I don't
The
know.
kids will love it. The
kids will
just
love it. They'll be
buy
they don't-
into
but
it.
they won't know what it means. Most of
No,
you
they
know?
don't.
I mean, that's why it's on the sly. So yeah, that's my band name, No Mas
Okay.
Pantalones.
Well,
I'm curious to see what your logo
did
looks
the
like.
tambourine,
don't.
so I don't know what you're
you got-
That would
contributing.
fit. That would fit into
Really?
the band.
I just
Absolutely.
like just slap it on my hip. And
Yeah, but
Chelsea already she said she'd sing, which is great. So
you have to
I
have
got the
jorts though.
Oh, yeah.
That's part of the band. Jorts and cowboy boots. That would be the best for No Mas Pantalones.
I'm out.
I like where this is going.
God, man, I got these ideas. They just come to me.
Yeah.
But Joel doesn't like them, so
Not that one.
you're going to be doing my website. So just be careful.
Okay.
So I can't believe you guys are going to Beacon Rock
Yeah,
because I
I'm pretty
really
jazzed
want to
about
go. I really do. It's June
Well,
10th.
that.
It
Why
is?
could you not
Mhm.
come? I mean, I feel like
I can still because I'm
Okay.
not. I don't have anything going on that time
That's true.
frame.
I thought we were going over to Lander.
That's June 24th. So that's still 2 weeks out,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, 7 and 7.
So you got
2
time to
weeks.
recover?
Yeah.
now
'Cause
what
you're
are you
doing
going to Lander for?
Top
The-
secret mission?
Yeah.
Ooh,
No, not really.
Sink Canyon Rough and Tumble 50K. And
Wow.
it's if you go online and check it out, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's so pretty.
You ever been on a Sinks Canyon? It's pretty rad.
no.
Yeah.
No.
Middle of nowhere, Wyoming, which is anywhere, Wyoming, really.
Well, isn't Lander over kind of by the Wind Rivers?
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, that's why I've heard
yeah,
of it because
it's
I
on the
went to the Wind
eastern
Rivers last
flank
year.
of the winds.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, in the middle of nowhere, but so
Right.
there's a race over there.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
Oh, you got time to no. The coach in me says no. You
Right.
shouldn't do Beacon Rock, but you could. It should be a really
There's a
fun.
30K.
Oh, see, a nice little tune-up.
There's a 4-miler, an 11-miler, and
A 50K for the Sink Canyon race.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
But I'm doing the 50K, so I could still do Beacon Rock 30K.
Yeah, go for it.
And there's like a kids fun run. You could show up for that.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I'd totally shave
just
my
push
face.
all the kids out of the way.
Right? Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Win.
Right?
I would shave my face for that one. And take like one of those ring pops. So,
It's like the one chance we ever have to podium.
Yeah.
The kids.
wouldn't.
The
the
Kids
kids' K.
I wouldn't put money on me for one of those either.
Yeah.
So let's see. We got races going on. You got your Bear 100.
Yep.
So you kind of mentioned it a little bit. Let's talk about tenacity, tenfold endurance. Did I get that right?
You got it.
Okay. So that's a website, right? You can go there, and that's your.
That is my coaching business.
Okay.
So I'm a running coach.
So how'd you get into that?
So along this, everybody calls it my journey into running, right?
Right.
So, really, I just genuinely loved running, and I loved the feeling of accomplishment. And I noticed, for the most part, people didn't know how to train right. And I was really interested in myself in knowing how to train correctly. Right. And I'm a huge advocate of knowledge is power. And so I, after a couple of years of getting into ultras and stuff, so I've been running for several years, but decided just to go and take a leap and go get certified as a running coach. So that was 4 years ago that I actually got officially certified. And so my niche kind of is I coach both road and trail.
Right.
The majority of my clients are in trail running just because that's what I do myself. And but I'm equally as passionate about coaching for road. They're both very different as far as the needs of the individual athlete in those categories. But yeah.
And how long you been doing that then?
So officially coaching for 4 years.
Okay.
And so how many clients do you generally have at one time?
I have learned over...
Have you learned to say no yet?
Yeah, actually, I've gotten good this year.
Okay.
I have like a set amount that I feel like is reasonable to take on at one time. And it's really important to me that I'm, giving my best possible for each individual athlete. And it's really difficult to give each one the proper amount of individual attention that I feel like they need to maximize their potential in what they're training for if you're overloaded or overwhelmed with too many different clients. And so I only take up to 15 at a time, but I do better with and it depends on what the types of clients I have too. Some are more need more than others, and so I'm always fluid in what works and what doesn't work. But
so you've got on your website, just looking, you have different packages, different ways that people. You're smiling because I've been checking out the website.
I'm super
See?
impressed.
That's what we do here. So you have different like monthly and week wise, right? Like training for X-rays or training for something like that. Is that kind of how you do yours?
To simplify it, there's two real options when it comes to coaching. You can have a monthly running coach, or like an actual running coach, and that's the monthly, or you can just purchase a race training plan, which that's where it comes into the weeks, because that varies by how many weeks you need for a plan.
So I like to ask this question because we've talked to other coaches. What's it like being a coach and watching your little grasshopper, right? Your little student. What's it like to see them accomplish their goal at that race?
Oh, it's so satisfying. That's part of the reason why I have really loved what I've done over the last couple of years, is because I have found that it is equally satisfying for me to watch other people accomplish their goals, especially when you get to know people so well. I mean, I look at coaching, it's a lot like a friendship where you have to make sure that the personalities mesh well. And my philosophy as a coach is that all athletes are people first before they're athletes. And so you really get to know, and you understand the sacrifices they're making on a daily basis to put in the training time financially and with their families, and the time and the blood, sweat, and tears, all of that. And so, it's really fun. So one in particular last year was just so fun to watch. And he was a road client, and he came to me. I think this would have been his 17th marathon to attempt to Boston qualify. He had run 16 previous marathons, tried to Boston qualify, and had never been able to do so. And so he hired me, and I didn't have quite as much time as I had hoped to get him to his goal, but I kind of considered his previous history and looked at it and said, okay, I feel like we have enough time between where you're starting to ultimately he was running the Ogden Marathon, and that's where he wanted to Boston qualify. And so got him going, and I still remember we were out of town traveling, and being out of town out of service, and I had just been really antsy all day to like get back into service to find out what had gone on that day, because I know how important it was for him to Boston qualify at this race. And I still remember, I think we were in Moab, driving back into service and getting the text ding 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 ding, and looking at it, he's like, I did it. And not only did he Boston qualify, he beat his Boston qualifying time by about 8 minutes, which if you know, like if you've ever run marathons and run enough to know that 8 minutes is a pretty big deal. So he had PR'd and then still got his goal after attempting so many times. I mean, so that was a really proud moment, not just as a coach, but just because you know how amazing of a feeling and how relieving it's got to be for somebody that puts so much effort into something that's so important to them, and have him finally accomplish that after so many tries.
Well, man, before even that, my hats off to whoever that was, because doing it 16 times and not doing it, there's a lot of people wouldn't make it that far before they bagged it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of, I look at it as like entering the Hard Rock Lottery, but without the work, right? You get denied 16 times, you're just kind of like, screw it. I'm never going to do it.
Yeah.
But to keep the persistence, that's amazing.
But it shows you that there really is such a science behind training. And so generally speaking, someone could look at someone and say, okay, if you've attempted 16 times and haven't been able to make it, you've probably reached your max potential in that. And that's not always the case. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of tweaking. And in this runner's case, he actually was overtraining. He was running too much. And so when I looked at his previous history and kind of what he had been doing, it took a lot of faith on his part to say, okay, I'm putting it all out there. I'm going to listen to you. And I had him scale back quite a bit on the amount of miles that he was running, and we just focused on specific quality and things that he needed to do to build up his speed. That was finally what got it for him. So
that's cool.
Well, I've never had a coach when it comes to running, right? But I can honestly say I believe it. I believe in it because I saw Joel last year, and a few other friends, Debbie Fark and a few others, first time they've really got a coach. And I've run with Joel for years, and he started getting, trained, and it was ridiculous. Like he was cruising.
Well, and I've noticed this, and you guys tell me if you feel like I'm right or wrong on this, but I've noticed that in the trail, in the ultra community especially, it's more common that people will hire a coach for road running or triathlon or something like that, but it's not as common for you to hire a coach in the ultra running community. But a lot of the mentality I've noticed in the ultra, and something that I've kind of had to learn to adapt to or be aware of when people come for coaching, is that for the most part, people that trail race or ultra run are really in it for the social. Like they really love their groups. I mean, It's just like me. I love running with my Snow Snorkelers. I love it.
Right.
But if you're, on a specific plan, there's a lot of sacrifices you have to make. I mean, people that road race, they're fine to go out and do a lot of their training runs on their own, because you have to have your specific paces or whatever, and a lot of them are fine, and just getting into it, that it's more of a solo investment. And that's really hard transition mentally for a lot of people in the ultra community, because it doesn't mean that you have to completely give up your group stuff. There's ways that you can make all of that work and integrate, but it doesn't mean that you can have your cake and eat it too. You have to pick and choose, but it just depends on what your goals are and what you want to get out of it.
Yeah, when your schedule's got like hill repeats.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
you
who wants
go
to
out
do
and
that
run
with
them,
you?
Honestly, right?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, no, you're not showing up for that. I'm not either.
No.
So it's and it has to be specific to what you want. So it can be difficult, and that is something for people to consider. But that being said, doesn't mean you have to completely give up, your social aspect of it.
I think that's important to have that built into your program. And I think any good coach is going to help build that into your program.
Yes.
Here's a free day. Go out. I want you to run 15 miles and have it at a recovery pace. And that's like your social run.
Yeah.
And that's when Joel can invite
me.
And
I've learned to cater. Like I know running with my group in particular, because I'm usually the slowest one now in this group of pretty fast men. And there's some girls that have joined it that are pretty fast too. And I can't show up every day and try to keep up with them and expect to not completely burn out after a couple of weeks of. I mean, that my tempo pace is a lot of their easy run paces, So there's a lot of times last year where I would have to pass that up and go out and do my own thing on a couple days. And I got by just fine. I was,
Right.
I still got my fill of what I needed and
Yeah.
and all of that. But
Well, I think me and Joel talked about it because when he decided to get a coach, his kind of thing was, I don't know how much longer I'm going to do this, but I want
Sure.
to see what I'm capable of.
Right.
Because like Joel's been running for like 52 years
Yeah.
in the
At
trail
least.
scene.
wow, that's
he's-
amazing.
Yeah,
I
he's,
know,
he's
right?
pretty
I
old.
almost invented it.
He almost did. He
Almost.
got beat to the
Can I
punch.
shake your
I did.
hand? That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Exactly.
But no, he's been running a long time, and you enjoy it. So you've had your enjoyment. Doesn't mean you can't enjoy it when you decide to get a coach, but it does drastically change your
It did.
approach, right?
Yes.
And I, like I said, firsthand, I saw the effects it had. But it's, I like the concept. I want to see what I'm capable of before, either my kids get more involved with stuff, or I get injured, or I'm in using a walker or whatever it is, right?
A walker.
With the tennis balls on it or whatever it is. So I think these are great. I mean, this is something I never really put a lot of thought into, is what you said, is you still, people in ultra running, it's a lot of that community base. So when you hire a coach, it's like, well, I'm kind of shifting away from that a little bit, but you're just taking on some different goals, maybe.
Yeah.
You are.
Really.
Yeah.
You got to be committed to that outcome.
Yeah.
Is what it comes down to.
Yeah, and so it's certainly not for everybody, and it's
Right.
not for every personality, but it is for some people. And I've been
Yep.
surprised at how many people really it is for. It can be, it can be really beneficial for the right person. So
And I think a lot of it for me is seeing people do, it's the accountability.
That's all
Right?
about the accountability.
Because when you don't have a coach like myself, the alarm clock goes off at 4 a.m. and I'm like, I'm kind of feeling pretty good right now.
I'm
you
feeling
know?
like I'm going to go back to sleep.
I'm going to
Yeah.
go back to sleep right now. But when you're
Snooze.
accountable,
Yep.
because it's like, nope, I got to do this because this is, I got to report back to somebody,
Right.
or we're working towards this other thing. You get out of bed. It's almost like running with people. When you're running with people, you're usually pretty good at getting there. But if it's
Yeah.
like a solo endeavor, I'll probably hit the
Yeah.
snooze, a couple times. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of different aspects to hiring a coach, not just the training part, but the
And I've kind of noticed this too, in at least in my little small trail circle here, and just the Wasatch in general. In the trail community, probably more than road, people love to just go out on a whim and do really crazy, cool things.
Yeah.
And not necessarily. And again, I'm not saying any of these are bad things, because a lot of times they turn out to be really awesome, amazing experiences. But it tends to be a little less, I don't know if it's like thought out in terms of, like, usually in a road race, you'll structure your based off of different races and stuff.
Right.
Where we have so many cool things to do here. I mean, like,
We do.
you
can
go
run-
out and run the rim
like-
to rim to rim, or
Right.
what, we have all these cool destination races that we can do with friends, where it's not like in the road community someone's gonna be like, let's drive to St. George and run 20 miles together, like that.
Yeah, that sounds
I'll just
awful.
stay here, I'll do it here.
Right.
But yeah, we'll go and travel to do these cool, amazing destination runs, which is actually what I am aiming to do most of this year anyway. That's kind of my goal this year. But because of that element to it, that people tend to get injured really
Right.
a lot easier in the trail community, or overtraining syndrome is very
Right.
common too.
Never had
because
that.
it's really hard for us to say no to stuff. Like, we want to be the yes man. So that's been hard. I've kind of feel like I'm in a certain group of my friends. I'm called the trail matriarch, because they're always like texting me and saying, well, should I do this? Or is it a bad idea if I do this? And
Right.
and I feel like and I'm always texting back and say, well, do you want me to give you an answer as a coach or as a friend? Because
Right.
my answer is
'Cause
going to be different.
If
'Cause
it's a
friend,
coach, here's your invoice.
Yeah,
Right?
right. Yeah, that's
Here's your
how it
invoice.
should be.
well,
Got
as a
PayPal?
coach, I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you probably what you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
But as your friend, I'm like, heck yeah, sign up. That sounds awesome. I would love to do that too.
Right.
So
It's that we always talk about. It's a fear of missing out, man.
It is.
Always,
Oh,
yeah.
it's
You know?
terrible.
Hey, we're going to do Design Traverse. Hey, we're going to do Good Water Rim. Hey, we're doing, Ruby Mountains. Hey, I mean, there's, like you said, there's so many places
Yeah.
around here, but it's like,
Right.
man.
But how great that's the
Yeah.
problem that we deal with is like picking
Yeah.
and
We
choosing
can have a
between
lot worse
all of the
problems,
awesome things.
right?
Yeah. What a good life.
Tetons and
Yeah.
Kings Peak or whatever it might be.
So are you full right now with clients?
Yes and no.
What's that mean?
Depending on the athlete and what their goals are and what they're looking for.
So how do you screen new athletes?
I will always, for sure, we have a phone call first, no
Right.
matter what. And I always tell this to people. So if someone contacts me initially, and anybody's welcome to, by the way. They can go to my website and contact me, and a lot of times they'll give me some sort of little rundown, like via email, of here's what I'm looking for, and I always suggest, well, let's just hop on the phone call and have a chat first, because you probably want to know more about me as what type of a coach I am before you'd even decide if I'm the right coach for you. Because like I said earlier, I feel like it's really important that the coach that you hire, because you're working so closely together, fits your personality.
True.
And so we always have a phone call first, and they can kind of tell me their goals, and I'll tell them a little bit more about what my coaching philosophy is and kind of what you expect when you first sign on. And I always tell them, like, make sure you hang up and think about it for a little bit if this is really what you want to commit to, especially because I bring up those, especially if it's an ultra client, and I will bring up those, concepts like, so have you thought about the fact that if you hire a coach, that means you can't go out and run every single group run you get invited to, or, and some people haven't thought of that, and some already have, and that's fine. So always a phone call first, to just, for them mainly, is what I feel like is important for them to decide whether their values align with mine and their philosophy and training aligns with mine. And then from there, if we feel like it's a fit, then we can just further it through email and get going.
So when you say what kind of coach you are, does it have to do with like your Twitter handle? Is that kind of, because that's how I would get who you are, right? Is your I'm like, oh, I like that, right?
What is your handle?
Isn't it? It's sarcasm and
sarcasm and
spandex.
spandex.
Yeah.
That's right.
So to me, I'm like, I like that sarcasm. I'm in, right? So that's a good baseline.
Well, and the thing is, I don't even advertise my coaching business.
It's just word of mouth.
Fortunately for me, I just stay busy enough through word of mouth coaching, which is the way I like it anyway. But so a lot of people come to me already knowing, through my social media stuff, and so they kind of have an idea of who I am. But that being said, that my Instagram is me and my own endeavors and personality infused, and that it transfers over to coaching a little bit. But I still, Coach Kenzie is a little bit different than my buddy Trail Kenzie, and I always tell people that, like, I'm a pretty I'm definitely a cheerleader type as far as like encouraging people to go out, and I'm very, very passionate about what I do and the race atmosphere, and I love it to the core, and I am so fascinated with like human performance and the science behind the training and so passionate, and that's really infused into my coaching. But I also, especially it gets tricky when I'm coaching people locally. I always say, just so you know, I can be extremely blunt, and I will tell you if I feel like something's not going well, or if you're doing something that shouldn't be done or whatever, please always run it by me first, because I'll tell you.
Or if you find out through social media they're doing something
and
that
happens,
to.
and I say that, like, it's not like I'm just going to pretend like I don't see it and let it slip, because you hired me for a specific reason, and you're paying me for something, and I understand like how much of a financial sacrifice it is for anybody, family man, anybody to invest in a monthly coach, and so it's my job to make sure that I'm doing my job in that regard. So I always
it's about being held. If you can't be held accountable, it's not a good fit, right?
Exactly. So I say that to people, like, if you aren't okay,
if you're not willing to be coached,
being called, exactly, and because change equals change, right? If you hired a coach, it's because you're looking for something to change, and so don't expect to be able to do all the things you did last year in terms of habits and running, all that stuff. Otherwise, you're not going to get change.
And that's why coaching, I think, that's why it's so valuable, and that's why it should be viewed as a value, right? And meaning that you need to look at it and be like, okay, I'm going to get something greater out of this than what I was doing last year, because my coach is going to invest in me. Right? Because you got to think of it as an investment, not only as a short-term goal, but also it's going to carry over not only later in the year, but next year. Because you're going to develop these habits, hopefully, this new way of thinking with your coach, and you're going to carry that on.
Yeah.
It's a total investment.
Yeah. And I look at a lot of clients, too. Like some of them will just go through one entire race season, with a coach, and then feel like the next year they don't need a coach, and or their goals are different, or they don't want to be as aggressive, or they don't want to, they maybe want to do more social running the next year. But I always feel like they have walked away with something valuable, some knowledge. And like I said at the first, I feel like knowledge is power. The more that people understand, there is a very specific science behind the training, and they understand why. And And when you went back to like, what do we talk about when I first talk to someone, my goal with my clients is that they always understand the reason behind every run. Every workout has a reason, even the easy days, even the days you're not running at all, the recovery days. There is a reason why you have to recover, and I want you to understand what that is, because if you don't buy into that or understand yourself, you may not stick to it. So again, I like to educate them, maybe even more than they want to be educated, but I'm always like nerding out with like, here's your results from this, and this is why, and this is what your body's doing.
So you're providing this superior service, which is so important.
Oh, I'd like to think so.
You are. No, you are. Like, think of it as like, it's like the best customer service possible you're giving them.
Well, yeah, and I feel like that's really what my business is. It's a people business.
It is.
So yeah.
So do you find it difficult, like more difficult when it's a client that maybe you know? Like you said, it's like maybe, I wouldn't say, I don't know, because I don't know who your clients are, but maybe it's a friend, someone you've run with, and they're like, you know what, I'm ready to coach. Do you find it more difficult that way?
Unwritten law of that I would never want to coach people that I train with on a regular basis, because I feel like it would just be too difficult to.
You don't want to jeopardize that friendship, right?
and I even so the local clients that I do have, and I actually have an unusually high amount this year of local clients versus normally I have more out-of-state clients than I have locally in Utah, and this year I have more locally in Utah, and there's always that vetting out process, like you said, and I always say like my friendship with you is more important than our client coaching, but I still have to have that coaching aspect. So sometimes I don't know that I'd feel like it's a good fit, and I've said that to a couple people, and that's totally fine, right? I think they would probably do better with a different coach. So I've never even really tried to coach any really, really close friends, but there's definitely a lot that I'm coaching right now that I'd call friends. There's enough distance between us that we don't show up in the same group runs and stuff, and I would never avoid it. I actually would love to go train with a lot of them, but so I'd call them more of acquaintances than close friends as far as the trail.
So it didn't cause any problems since you coached Tommy all last year to make him succeed?
I would never. I would never. We would be divorced for sure. That would not go over well.
It's interesting because you say, because I've talked to a few different couples, but you say you guys pace each other?
Yeah, that goes fine. That's fine. It's when I would never tell Tommy what to do or how to train, because anytime that those conversations come up, they just never go well.
Because I've heard couples that won't pace each other. That says I can't. We just don't.
Yeah, we've been fortunate that we really do like to spend a lot of time together. I don't know how or why that's worked for us, but I always said last year that if Tommy and I could make it through all of his endeavors last year with me pacing him, and we still we weren't divorced, then we will be stuck together for eternity, because we can make it through that. We can make it through anything.
Congratulations, it worked out.
It did.
So not just the Grand Slam buckle, but the eternity
and
buckle.
he even had to, I think that the biggest test of that was him having to turn around and pace me at Bear last year, at the Nasty Bear, because he took the last 17 miles or so, took me in on that, and I was not in a good spot mentally by that point. And when it's your own spouse, you just don't care to hold back anything. So that poor guy just probably saw and heard some things that he never, ever going forget.
He's got them written down in a journal, I promise. Yeah. Check under the mattress.
Yeah.
There's a journal there. Well, that's awesome. You had a really interesting path to what you've done. You can obviously tell you're driven. By the things you take on and accepting those next challenges.
Thank you.
But I really like to hear the story that you meant about getting into coaching, how you went and got certified, right? Because I think that's important for people to know that, because there are a lot, we've talked to other coaches, but there's a lot of coaches out there that maybe don't have, maybe it's just a running background. Yeah. Maybe I've run before, right?
And I think, and here's the thing with that, is if you were to go out and look at certifications for running, they're really not a lot. And so I did a lot of research, and even especially in trail, there's really not anything. And so I think what it's really important, certification is certainly important, and there's a lot of knowledge there, but you can go get weekend certified as a running coach.
Yeah, you can get USATF weekend.
Yes.
And it's so easy to get.
So easy. And really,
I got it.
I think it just depends.
I do.
He's got the card in his wallet.
Joel can do it,
he's got the card in his wallet.
I got everything.
He does.
Don't you worry. I got you covered.
Yeah.
But it goes back to that point that I made, that it depends on the personality of the coach. And for me,
Yeah.
I just am fascinated. So I started out, before I even got coach certified, running certified, I would order old used textbooks on Amazon,
Right.
with like kinesiology
Yeah.
and like exercise physiology, all of that stuff, because I was just so fascinated with how the body worked and why. And that was just in general. I just was fascinated with how that worked. And then the more I realized that coaching was what I wanted to get into, I mean, I went and got certified, but I felt like you walk away from that and you can write a training plan off of the knowledge you get from that.
Right.
But as far as like coaching people one-on-one and learning how to deal with that individual and what they need and like getting them from point A to point B, I don't really feel like you get that just with a weekend certification.
No,
I think
that's
you
art and science and
you
just
really have
years
to
of,
feel like know
yeah.
your stuff, and it's a constant continuing education, I
Right.
feel like.
Well, I think it's important too, because there's different reasons that people coach, but everything you're mentioning right now, like your passion for learning, knowledge is learning, buying books off Amazon, reading Born to Run, I'm sure, that's huge.
Did you say Born to Run?
I sure did, man.
Oh my gosh.
But that says something though. I mean, it's like you're not just invested in your clients, you're invested in yourself, right? To give the best possible, because this could go two ways. You can train this person to a PR, the Boston Marathon goal, or you can train this person to injury or train them into the ground.
Oh, yeah,
right?
anybody can run somebody in the ground.
Oh, I could
That's
write a
easy to do.
training
I
plan
think we
right
can all
now.
run ourselves into the ground, which
Yeah.
is
We
the
do a
biggest
good job
problem.
of that,
Yeah.
but I mean,
But
you
I
can
mean-
also pay somebody to have that done too.
Yeah,
you know?
but I think
definitely.
that's important though, and I think the way you come across by mentioning kind of your lifestyle, your goals, the way you do things. I think that's kind of the good mix of the right way, getting to know the client really well,
Right.
and being able to say no. Instead of just saying, "Oh yeah, here comes some more business. Bring it on, bring it
Yeah.
on." It's like,
Yeah.
no, I don't think it's a good fit.
And I think it's important for people too to know that not everybody is just this naturally gifted runner, but
Right.
everybody has room to improve from where they're at and where they're starting. And so you have those people that will like sign up for their first marathon on a whim and not train, and like, oops, I Boston qualified. How'd that happen? I don't
Yeah.
even know. That's
Oh.
amazing, because some people really are just born with that natural runner's gift. And I
Yeah.
like to think that while I do all right, I feel like I train right and I do okay. I would never ever have considered myself a gifted runner by any means. And so again, that's part of why I was like, I want to know how I can maximize my potential with my goals, and that was kind of where I started, because I was
Right.
just not satisfied just with going and kind of being the weekend warrior racer anymore. After so long, I wanted more, because I'm driven. I like that. It
Yeah.
was just what pushed me. So
I think that's awesome, and it's
Yeah.
we talk about it just like you did. It's about a fit, right? I
It's
mean,
goodness of fit.
It's just about the fit with your coach and the client, how comfortable you are, kind of what you can draw from it. Not just the training aspect of it, but educating them why they're doing certain things.
Right.
Because Joel showed me his training plan. I didn't know half the words meant.
I did. I shared some of my stuff with him. And
He said, "Here's what I'm doing today," and he tells me, and I'm like, "Let me Google that real quick." Yep,
Yeah.
I'm not coming.
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly.
I'll meet you for coffee afterwards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, let me
Have
know when
fun
you're
with that.
done.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on a friend run.
I'm gonna take my dog for a walk.
Yeah.
All right. So you're full of clients right now, basically, but you have the other options, right? Where
Yes.
somebody wants to.
So training plans, I always am writing those.
Right.
So if anybody wants a race training plan that gets them from point A to point B,
Right.
those are all on my website.
Yep.
And I will say with the monthly coaching, again, if someone's interested in monthly coaching and they're very serious about it, then contact me, because I'm at a point right now where it just depends on what their
Right.
goals are and what they're looking for. But
It sounds like you can't say no just yet. Here's what
no,
you need
I
to
mean,
learn how to say
again,
no.
it depends on the person. If I know, if I know that they're like have some really, really aggressive goals,
Right.
again, that's another thing too. Like if someone has already signed up for all these races,
Right.
and then they like try to retrofit a coach into that, that's probably not the best fit, because I'm not going to compromise, my coaching philosophies and coach
Right.
someone to something I think ultimately might injure them.
Right.
So that's why I definitely, anybody contact me, I'm happy to do
Right.
that. But that being said, I wouldn't just take everybody that contacts me.
Sure, I know that,
So.
but I like that you're doing your best to keep your client load to something that's reasonable, but you just want to help so bad, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I like to think I do. I mean, obviously, I love to see people succeed. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Obviously.
Now, your training plans, are they more based on, like, if someone says, are they specific to a distance? Are they specific to a race? Are they specific to a time frame? I mean, what's kind of, you say you have training plans.
That's unique to the individual. So generally, like I call them my static race training plans. Usually that's to a specific race. You know, I don't generally like write a plan for someone that's saying I just want to get into running and by the end of 20 weeks I just want to run 20 miles or so.
Right.
That's probably more of a monthly coaching thing, a monthly coaching client type thing that they would be looking at, but it's usually towards a specific race.
And so if someone called you and said, hey, I'm running Speed Goat or Squat Peak 50, I need a training plan, that's something you
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you're kind of
sure.
on based on that. Because I think those are pretty cool.
They are.
Training plans for a specific race.
Yeah.
And
I think it's important to note too, there are so many race training plans online. Like you can go Google free race training plans anywhere, and some of those are good, but they're not specific to the person. And so a lot of people go like, why would I pay for a race training plan? I can get a free one online anywhere. But
Right.
again, it's not accounting where you're starting from and ultimately what your goal is
Right.
and your individual paces, what you need to be running at certain thresholds to have X amount of physiological changes happen to gain fitness in different areas that are unique to you versus somebody else. And so all of that's factored in. Just like with my monthly clients, that's all factored in with the static training plan. The only real difference is that I'm writing the whole thing from A to B,
Right.
as opposed to like adaptability with the monthly clients.
See, that's one thing. Like I said, I haven't had a coach yet, but just talking to so many different coaches, you can go online and say, I want a 50K, right? A 50K training plan. You can Google it, and there's going to be 5 or 6, just like that. But I think with the coaches we've talked to, it also depends on the person. Like if you're, hitting these goals, right, or improving, the plan's going to tweak the second month or the 8th week as opposed to being static for 16 weeks.
For sure.
Right? Or maybe you get injured, for 2 weeks, or you're sick
And how do you
for a
adapt
week.
to that if you don't know? Like where do you start? Where do you come back to? Do you just jump right back into your
to where it was
plan,
supposed to be on the day. So
those
that's
are all
why I
things
think
that are
that
addressed.
coaching aspect, I mean, I'm not saying don't go get a free one online, but you have to take that with some flexibility. But if you're getting one online, you may not know how to be flexible with that.
Yeah.
But when you get a coach to write that plan or help you with it, that's when it's like dialed in to what you're doing, when you're doing it, and how you're doing it.
You
Does that sound
got it.
about right? I'm
Sounds
gonna
about
I'm gonna
right.
coach. When's that weekend class? I'm gonna get my license.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're pretty much a coach.
I'm gonna
now.
go get my license, man. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna train people for like a donut mile.
Just add that in with the finish line band
Donut
and babysitting
bucks.
See,
services.
no Moss Pantalones. We do it
Yep.
all, and you don't need pants for any of it. Your sarcasm in spandex, and
See?
spandex are pants, and I'm
Yeah.
the opposite. I'm the no Moss spandex.
Anti-stretchy pants.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I tell you what, this has been a great show.
Hey, before we wrap it up, let's
Yeah.
do something we haven't done in a while.
You start.
Oh, I'm scared.
I already know what you're gonna think, so you start.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
No, I will not sing for you guys.
Oh, come on! It's going on.
Sorry.
It can be the album
Okay.
cover.
Do you have a guilty pleasure as far as an iPod tune goes that you wouldn't readily admit to anybody, but you're going to tell us?
Guilty pleasure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dirty rap. For
Oh,
sure.
yes.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like the old school stuff, like
Yeah.
Biggie and
Okay.
Tupac and all that.
All right.
Yeah.
See, when she says old school, that's not old school to me. Does that
I
mean
know,
I'm old?
I know, but
I mean, I'm old.
Well,
I'm
I
thinking when
mean,
she says old
it's
school, I'm
kinda-
thinking Two Live Crew. They
they were old
right?
and dirty.
That's what I'm thinking. So
Yeah.
that's all right. That's good. So okay,
right,
here you
your
go.
turn.
Next one: meat or veggies?
Meat.
Meat. All right,
I'm
Okay.
Definitely a meat eater.
you're up.
Dang.
You want to play?
I won the play?
Favorite race distance?
I really love the 100-miler.
Oh my gosh, that's
Wow.
Yeah.
that's
Nobody's ever said that.
No.
We
What?
played this game before.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Serious.
It's usually like a
I'm
50K.
the first person to play this for
50K
sure.
50K or 25 miles
Really?
is really what people
I
are going
I
with.
really love the 100-miler because I feel like there's so many variables that you have to, be fluid with throughout the race.
Okay,
Yeah, I
group
just
run
love-
or solo run?
Group run.
Okay.
Yep.
Headphones or no headphones?
Road, headphones. Trail, no headphones.
See, I would be.
Is that fair? Can
I'd
I
be
s-
scared to wear headphones on the road.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, see,
Totally.
I have to have headphones to get me. See, I have to have my dirty rap.
Yes, you do.
See, hill repeats.
Yeah.
You need dirty rap
You
for hill
do.
repeats.
Okay,
Yeah.
bear or mountain lion, which would you rather be eaten by?
Oh my gosh. Ooh. Seriously? That's like
come on.
the weirdest question ever.
No, it's not. Trust me.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, we haven't even go. Okay. Oh, gall. Mountain lion?
Okay.
Oh, see, I'd go bear all day.
You would take a bear?
Oh, yeah. I think because you could snuggle right before it's over.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Have you seen The Revenant or There's
I
No
have.
Oh,
Snuggling?
yeah, right?
Yeah,
That's
that was-
scary.
You get a
that's
bear hug.
probably why I say mountain lion.
But
After
I'm-
that, I was like so traumatized.
Okay, so I'm a huge grizzly bear fan, so I still believe I could talk one down.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
I still believe that to this day.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, me too, from a distance.
I'll wear a GoPro.
Yeah.
Screw the Revenant. This is a real Leonardo, king of the world, my
Okay,
ass.
your turn.
All right,
One more.
one more?
Yeah, one more.
Okay, morning or evening run?
Evening.
Evening, okay.
Yes. I
That question is so ambiguous
Why?
because it can pertain to a lot of things.
Morning or evening run?
No, just morning or evening.
Yeah, I said morning and evening run.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't hear the run part.
Okay,
Did
so
you say morning? I
said
see,
morning or
my
evening
mind
run.
automatically went to run. See,
Oh.
Joel's was in Dirty Dirty Rap.
I thought we were on Dirty Rap.
evening runs. I generally do better. Like if I have to do a tempo run, I will try to do it in the evening if I can.
Yeah. What's like midday run for you? Are you just like blah sluggish?
No, well, man, it depends on what I ate for lunch.
That's
I
true.
guess.
If you
See.
have 2 servings of pumpkin pie and go out and try to run, it doesn't work that
Joel
well.
loves
No.
pumpkin pie.
'Cause I
man.
You know
did
what?
that 2 days ago.
This is a true story, though. One time, I still remember I had ate the entire Cafe Rio burrito, the whole thing.
Those are big.
And I went out for a tempo run 30 minutes later. I do not suggest that to anybody, but I had an amazing tempo run.
Did
I was like,
you?
maybe that's the
You,
secret.
like tempo
no
to that bush
repercussions,
and
just
to
no.
that bush.
I must have a gut of steel because it was a fabulous run. Who
That's
would have
awesome.
thought?
What was in
that's
it? Was
the
it
trick,
like
you
chicken?
Guys. See, you don't even need a coach.
Chicken?
You just
No.
need Cafe Rio.
That's right.
See.
Chicken? Was it chicken, shredded pork?
I actually really like the steak.
Is that what it was?
It was a steak
That's a little
burrito.
heavier, too.
Yeah.
It is heavy.
Okay, so last one before we leave. You hear a knock at the door. You go open the door. Tommy's standing there in a pair of American flag spandex shorts,
I had a dream about this
a
once.
sombrero, a half a watermelon in one hand, and a Slurpee in the other.
What? That's like every Saturday morning.
So I was like, say what's
Yeah, it's true.
that's
That
our
is not.
set.
I will say this. Tommy won't own up to this, but we have probably the highest concentration of costumery in my closet over
Huh.
anybody. I will I'll go up against almost anybody besides my good friend Katie.
Huh.
Other than that, like.
I'm not sure I want you to
we're
explain
not.
that.
Yeah, we're not
Joel's
talking about
right.
like.
I
See,
mean-
he's still stuck on the dirty rap.
is, right?
No, we're just talking about.
Why would you say
No,
that?
really.
Why
I'm
would
gonna,
they be in
no,
the
I'm just
closet?
going to tell you a really quick story. I know we're short on time, but when I ran my first Wasatch 100 back in 2014 at the Brighton aid station, I run in there, and this is a group of my friends. None of them were into trail running, so it's just
Right.
a group of my friends. I run in there, and there is a man in an Aladdin genie costume and 4 of my really good friends like scantily clad in lingerie. And I think
Where was this?
Guys or girls?
I think we traumatized most people in there. But that was the best experience of my life.
Wow.
Where was
I
this?
sat and had
Wasatch?
people rubbing my feet
Yeah.
in lingerie, right? So this
There
just
is
shows you
another
that
service that can be provided
See?
at an aid station.
They
I feel
do-
like this
they
has
do
been a
lingerie
really
house
productive.
cleaning,
Like
so
we're
now
all
they
going to
can
be
do-
millionaires
I
after
know,
this
right?
podcast.
That could
So
be.
yeah, I just come from a group of really weird people.
Huh.
We just know how to have a good time in our
Yeah.
own way, I suppose. But
So we missed out on an episode where I'm not going to say which one, so we're going to start asking the question. Have you ever done like band camp?
Oh,
oh no.
No? Okay. Because we had a guest on the show, and after the
That's
show was
true.
over, we asked a question and goes, we met at band camp.
At
And me and Joe
band
looked at each
camp.
other like, no.
Yeah.
Not at band camp.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no band camps for this
Okay.
girl.
All right.
That's it. All right. Well,
thank you.
thanks for coming on the show.
You bet.
Appreciate
My
it.
pleasure.
Yeah, we
It's fun.
appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. Wish you all the best of luck for the double this year.
That's right.
Thank
We
you.
call it the
September
double, the
double.
I hate you
Wasatch
guys.
Bear.
It's a September dumble. I'll see you in the starting line.
Yeah, Wasatch
gonna be
Bear. That's a
fun.
double.
Now that I know that you're doing it, we'll have to talk Tommy into it. We'll let
That's
him
right.
listen to this podcast and mull it over for a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll
All
right.
see. We'll
He
see where it goes from there.
Yeah, and then like I said, if worst comes to worst, just get us his ultra sign up password. We'll take care of the
it for
rest.
you.
He'll
Deal.
nothing linked back to you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks for taking the time. Good luck with the year. Enjoy coaching, because I know just watching you talk about it, you can see you just love it, watching people do the thing. So
Yep.
Thank
again,
you.
we'll have some links on this post for her website, so you can go check it out if you're interested. And have a great season. And I'm going to have to go look into the Snow Snorkelers now. So
You should.
So thanks for that.
Hey, thanks.
All right.
Happy trails, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Trail Manners podcast. We'd like to thank Kenzie Barlow for taking the time to join us today. Check out the show notes for her website and just more information about the show. We also would like everybody to go on to Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at Trail Manners, or swing by the website at trailmanners.com. You can swing by the store page to pick up some gear, or you can hit us up on the contact page and let us know what you want to see, who you want to hear, or even if you would like to be on the show. Until next time, this is Eric Manning with Joel Hatch reminding you, you don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for. Now go get it.